Welcome to today's meeting here at Hamilton City School Board. We are going to go into our open session. Can we have roll call, please, Mr. Frazier?
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mrs. Baker?
Here.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Dr. Kopis?
Here.
Thank you, sir. Our first will be our update from, first of all, I'd like to excuse Mr. Lawrence Sprague today from our meeting. And then we'll have our first update from Brookwood Elementary. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for welcoming our Brookwood team here tonight. I am Kayla Ritchie, the assistant principal at Brookwood. It is my pleasure to introduce our dedicated team. We have Eileen Ernst, principal, Nikki Jalil, our math coach, Brittany Galbraith, our literacy coach, and our incredible title staff, Stacy Seifrith and Tina Mazio. At the end of last school year, we surveyed our staff to identify strengths and areas of improvement. We also analyzed data from MAP, OST, Amplify, Behavior Trends, and MTSS tier movement. Using these insights and the strategic planning from the year before, our building leadership team established key focus areas for this year, building upon previous goals while introducing new initiatives. One major initiative is AIM Block, a district-wide focus that has been expanded at Brookwood to include all kindergarten through 6th grade students. AIM Block is a fundamental part of our MTSS process. It integrates various other action steps like utilizing explicit instructional practices and empowers all staff to take ownership of student success, ensuring that every student has meaningful opportunities for achievement and growth. This idea is the driving force behind all the efforts invested in AIM Block, as it emphasizes the importance of ensuring students can first read the words before focusing on comprehension strategies. AIM Block aims to build foundational reading skills, ensuring every student can decode words and engage meaningfully with the text.
I want to talk about an essential part of our reading instruction, our AIM Block. This is a time dedicated to ensuring that every student receives the targeted reading intervention, support, and enrichment they need to grow as readers. AIM Block is a structured, focused time built into our schedule to provide explicit reading instruction tailored to each student's needs. Our goal is simple but powerful, to ensure that every child grows at least 1 year academically on MAP reading assessment. Unlike other programs where students might be working independently on computers, AIM Block is all about directful, meaningful instruction. Every grade level from kindergarten through 6th grade participates in the dedicated 30-minute AIM Block. During this time, students work in small groups with a variety of educators, including Title I staff, instructional coaches, general education teachers, and special education teachers. These groups are not random. They are carefully formed based on MAP scores and Amplify data to make sure every student is working at their instructional level. AIM Block is more than just a reading intervention. It's a commitment to supporting every student's growth. At Brookwood, we exceed the district's minimum requirement of implementing AIM Block for kindergarten through 3rd grade by extending it across all 7 grade levels. This ensures that every student receives the targeted reading intervention they need, whether it's additional support or advanced enrichment. Our goal is to provide every learner with the opportunity to thrive. AIM Block is a targeted and intentional approach to reading instruction that prioritizes student growth. By focusing on an explicit instruction, small group learning, and collaboration among educators, we are making a real difference in our students' academic success. At Brookwood, we are committed to building strong instructional practices that provide lasting support for our students. This year, our team has worked diligently to not only develop AIM Block, but also to establish clear processes that will ensure its success year after year. Our planning timeline reflects the thought and intention behind designing AIM Block, as an impactful, structured approach to meeting student needs. Let's walk through how this process has evolved over time. It all started last May when we prioritized AIM Block in our master schedule. Our team, including coaches, title staff, and admin, came together to brainstorm our needs, analyze data, and begin developing a structured plan for AIM Block. From the very beginning, our focus was on making this a sustainable and impactful initiative. In July, we reconvened as a team, title, coaches, and admin, to map out the specifics. We focused on how to roll out AIM Block effectively, support MAP testing, and prepare our staff to implement it with confidence. This was a critical step in ensuring that everyone was equipped with the tools they needed to succeed. As we moved into the school year, we provided direct support with planning and grouping students. Title staff played a key role in creating groups and developing beginning of the year lessons. We also took the extra step of integrating science and social studies into our reading instruction for our blue groups in grades 3 through 6. By designing community building lessons and thinking about what teachers would need to be successful, we were setting the stage for a strong start. By November, we had new data to consider. After analyzing our state report card data, we met as a building leadership team to make intentional adjustments, particularly for our gifted students. We recognized areas where we could better support them, and Nikki will speak about that in just a few minutes. At the start of the new semester, we revisited our AIM Block groups with a renewed focus on serving our gifted students. Our adjustments were intentional, ensuring that students received the right level of support and challenge within their instructional groups. This refinement reflects our commitment to continuous improvement and meeting the needs of all learners. AIM Block is a reflection of thoughtful planning, collaboration, and a shared commitment to student growth. From our initial brainstorming in May to our refinements in January, every step has been intentional in creating a meaningful and impactful reading block.
As you have seen in the timeline, these 4 key ideas have been vital to our AIM Block process. Teachers collaborate with one another as well as with title teachers, coaches, and administrators to determine group placements that align with their expertise and strengths. We are proud to have 55 AIM Block groups running each day, ensuring that 100% of our students at Brookwood receive reading instruction at their level, fostering growth and success. Our title teachers carefully analyze amplified data and MAP scores to determine group placements with teachers and ensure students receive the support that they need. They collaborate closely with our coaches, exchanging ideas and exploring creative ways to best serve students, whether that means placing them in an AIM Block in an upper grade or providing a double dose of individualized instruction. Title teachers, coaches, and administrators then meet with the teachers to assess the group effectiveness and make necessary adjustments. Additionally, coaches and title teachers support classroom teachers by identifying key skills to focus on within their groups and addressing any learning gaps that need to be filled.
Looking deeper into AIM Block groups. AIM Block begins with fostering a growth mindset, helping students develop perseverance, confidence in their learning. From there, students participate in the fluid small groups that focus on areas like morphology, Orton-Gillingham strategies, phonics, reading comprehension, and fluency. This targeted small group instruction is a key component of AIM Block. These groups are flexible. We regularly assess and adjust placements to ensure each student is receiving the right support at the right time. We integrate cross-curricular learning to make instruction relevant and engaging. For example, our students recently explored wildfires, a timely and important real-world issue. And by bringing in current events, we encourage critical thinking and problem solving and meaningful discussions that help them connect what they're learning in the classroom to the world around them. We include high-interest activities, including group presentations, hands-on projects, and book clubs, creating meaningful and collaborative learning experiences. One of our recent book clubs focused on the book titled Out of My Mind, which helped our students develop a deeper understanding and compassion for their peers in our multiple MD units at Brookwood. With our strong sense of community, AIM Block allows teachers to get to know students across the entire grade level, not just their homeroom. And this broader connection helps build relationships, deepen support, and create a collaborative learning environment. While our district system helps organize students based on the needs and focus areas, students are unaware of the groups and the levels that they're in. They simply see AIM Block as a valuable and engaging time to learn. We also work closely with teachers and staff, leveraging their strengths and experiences for the best fit. This thoughtful approach ensures that students and teachers have a successful and enriching AIM Block experience. We recognize at Brookwood that we have students at every academic level, and we're intentional about tailoring supports to meet those diverse needs. AIM Block is an opportunity to personalize learning, challenge students appropriately, and ensure that every child is growing in confidence and capability. We're excited about the work we're doing in AIM Block.
One of the biggest system changes in the last few years at Brookwood and district-wide is the development of a strong MTSS program. This works hand in hand with our AIM Block. The multi-tiered system of support ensures that all students reach their full potential. We can intervene early and with purpose for students who need to close instructional gaps. We know it's important that we are growing and supporting all of our students, and that takes time, which we don't have very much of. We dedicate time to important areas and work to ensure that the process is meaningful and manageable. This isn't a one-year thing. We're working to build our system to implement year after year. With those thoughts in mind, we focused on examining the needs of students through MAP and Amplify data analysis. This pinpointed needs and allowed for monitoring of progress. This progress has been discussed at monthly grade level meetings, attended by teachers, title staff, coaches, and admin. This support has been reading focused and allowed us to mine the vast trove of knowledge around our table. Title teachers, coaches, and classroom teachers share the load of progress monitoring to ensure that data is timely and plentiful. Our decisions are made collaboratively and reflect the culture of shared responsibility that we've cultivated here at Brookwood. These open lines of communication allow us to review plans efficiently to help AIM Block grow and change with our learners. The groups are fluid and allow us to stay on the cutting edge of students' learning. To make this the most meaningful for our staff, we also survey our teachers. We do this monthly to ensure that all stakeholders feel that the process is best serving our kiddos. It is through this process that we've adjusted our January meeting schedule to ensure that teachers felt that AIM Block group focuses were well planned and meeting students' needs.
Good afternoon. As you can see from our testing data, we were very close to meeting our gifted performance index percentage. We were missing the mark by just over 1%. So we saw 75% of our students identified as gifted performing at the highest level, prompting us then to reflect on the remaining 25% and what we could do to help them grow as well. This data helped us realize that we needed to have in our building to serve our students who are gifted. Recognizing that our gifted students are not serviced during the school day, we began brainstorming as an instructional team and collaborating with the district team as well to explore ways that we can support their growth. Having a structure already in place with AIM Block, we began putting a system in place to start reaching our highest learners. In recognizing our need to serve our students identified as gifted, we have committed to having ongoing targeted PD for our teachers. Teachers in grades 3 to 6 were able to attend a PD in November given by Amy Alexander, who is a gifted curriculum specialist from BCESC. She provided valuable insight and resources to help us serve our higher learners. After the PD, we surveyed our teachers to gauge their thoughts on her training. The word cloud that you see pictured here represents our teachers and the words that they used in their survey. Based on their feedback, time with Amy was well spent, and teachers learned a great deal about how to quickly implement gifted practices in their classrooms. We have a high number of gifted students identified in grades 3 and 4. We restructured our AIM Block group for these higher learners so that they are receiving more open-ended, cross-curricular, critical thinking content during their 30-minute daily AIM Block. The coaches are currently involved in a book study geared toward coaching teachers who are serving students identified as gifted. This book study affords us the opportunity to learn strategies and techniques that are proven effective and quickly apply them to benefit our teachers and our students.
As I mentioned previously, our AIM groups are data-driven. Using data, like what you see on the screen, allows us to make informed decisions. The bar graphs compare our fall Amplify data using DIBELS 8 to our winter data. So as you can see, the colors change depending on student performance. Red would indicate well below benchmark scoring, yellow would be below benchmark, green is at benchmark, and blue is above benchmark. Through MTSS and intentional differentiated instruction, we see decreases in the incidence of students scoring well below and increases in the students exceeding benchmark. Our kindergarten well below benchmark scores decreased from 62%, that's that red bar there, to 44%. So 62% came in well below, and now we can say 44 are still there and growing. That shows that the focus of our instruction helps students become more proficient in early literacy skills. In second grade, our well above or blue portion increased from 7% to 22%. So data analysis like this helps us to quantify the work that's happening in AIM Block and our classrooms every day. While I highlighted kindergarten and second grade, we see increases in blue and decreases in red at all grade levels K through 3. Here at Brookwood, we are closing gaps in literacy knowledge, and we're building confident readers.
So as Brittany mentioned, our Amplify data shows direct impacts. While we're not seeing the overall growth we hope for in our MAP data, this information helps us analyze our current position and identify areas for improvement. We observed dips in MAP achievement for kindergarten and first grade, which may be influenced by the implementation of our new reading program introduced last year in grades 3 through 6, and it's new this year in K through 2. We recognize these dips, but also use them to problem solve for not only AIM Block groups, but also support for Tier 1 whole group reading lessons as well. Despite these challenges, we are seeing achievement gains in 2nd, 3rd, and 5th grades, while 4th and 6th grade have remained steady. After completing a semester of AIM Block, we surveyed staff members to gather reflections and identify the support they needed for the second semester rollout. The survey data showed that staff find AIM Block to be a valuable addition for addressing reading needs, but they expressed a need for more support. Specifically, they requested additional planning time, strategies to better enrich our highest achieving students, and opportunities to collaborate as a team to analyze data, especially for students they just see during AIM Block. In response, we prioritized these needs in our second semester planning. We provided dedicated collaborative planning time for each grade level with support from our coaches. K through 2 teachers focused on the new EL reading program, while our 3rd through 6th grades had extended planning for AIM Block. This time allowed teachers to plan lessons, apply strategies from Amy Alexander's PD, and feel confident and ready for their second semester groups. While organizing planning time for this coverage was a bit challenging, it did have a significant impact by ensuring that teachers felt supported and equipped with the necessary resources to help students grow. As you have seen this evening, our team feels passionate about AIM Block and our ongoing work to support students and help them grow. Our focus is on delivering explicit and intentional instruction to meet students' needs. We continue to support and monitor focused instruction while expanding gifted services and activities for enrichment. Through staff surveys, we gather feedback to refine and improve our system for the 25-26 school year. Our data-driven approach sets clear goals for this school year to achieve increases in growth and achievement on reading MAP and to ensure that 76% of our 3rd grade students score proficient or higher on the reading OST. Collaboration remains key.
We work as a school team to support students and nurture a love for reading, ensuring that every student is given an opportunity to thrive.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the presentation, and also to the team for just being intentional about what you're doing and investing in yourselves. One, for having that coach come out to further train. So definitely appreciate you guys taking that time to invest in yourself for the betterment of our youth. And I think what really stuck out to me amongst all of it, which was great, but was that you said that you have 55 of the AIM blocks running a day daily. See, that's really nice. That's sweet. I mean, that's a lot of resources and stuff and time being poured into our kids. And I'm taking a statistics class, so it was really cool seeing the data and how using data really does drive direction and give lots of insight and input. And also, I do appreciate you guys getting the surveys from the teachers to get their feedback, because it's everybody. It's all hands on deck, making sure that that goals are met. And even though when there are dips and stuff, you still learn from those things. So I thank you guys for taking the time to review and learn from it. So thank you so much for being here and what you do for our kids. Appreciate it.
Likewise, thank you. For years, I've been advocating that we have to get into students in kindergarten, first grade, and third grade need to know how to read. They need reading skills and comprehension. If we don't get them there, we're going to lose them. And there's a lot of studies out, if you don't get to this to a student while they're in grades K through 6 with their reading skills and their comprehension, then they're not going to succeed in upper grades. This AIM is a great program. I love the fact that you're challenging your gifted students. Sometimes that's forgotten, that a gifted student needs to be challenged. They're sitting in a classroom that's geared towards that level, but they're up here, and they need to be challenged. And I think you're doing great things, and I look forward to my visit tomorrow with Dr. Kopis to your building, and we'll learn some more about your program. Thank you.
I just ditto all those comments. Doing a great job, very intentional, and I was quite taken back by the 55 AIM classes as well. So keep up the good work. Thank you.
Assistant Principal Ritchie. I have a question for you. Did you volunteer to go first and make the first comment, or did Principal Ernst make you do that?
She did not.
Oh, okay.
It was a team decision.
Okay, well, you did great. And
Good answer.
like my fellow board members, I think the AIM block is a wonderful program, and I respect what you're doing with it. One of the smartest people I've ever met, I've heard them say that the ability to and the love of reading is the greatest sign of intelligence. So, I respect what you're doing, but a couple of comments that I think are great about your program there at your school is 100% involvement. That's wonderful. And the flexibility of the system, where I guess, as students progress, they can move to different groups. That's great. But Principal Ernst, one thing that you said that really impresses me about it is when you look at the slide and it says 52% of your staff felt that they had what they needed in terms of resources. Well, you know what? That's not really that good, because that means 48% does not have it. But you recognize that, and you've put plans in place to address that and help the program become even more successful. So I appreciate what you're doing, love the staff, love the teachers, so I just wish you continued success. So thanks.
Yes, Team Brookwood, Eileen, Kayla, Nikki, Brittany, Tina, and Stacy, I want to thank you for being here. I think what tonight shows more than anything is that Brookwood's all in. You guys are a staff that comes together. If the other 30 of them were here, you'd hear the exact same thing from them, which is amazing. What was really neat in that data is you are lowering the students who are significantly below, but also raising our students that are above. So we're not just filling gaps, we're accelerating growth. And that's what's really neat, is when we look at consistent growth and achievement, we're tipping the buckets, right? One shouldn't just get smaller, the others should get bigger. So I applaud your efforts, I applaud your passion. I know some of you can now breathe a little bit. Miss Tina. But I want to thank you for what you do for our kids every day. Coming to Brookwood is a highlight when I get to come over there and see what you're doing. And I'm just really proud of each of you, both for representing your school so well and what you do for our kids each and every day. So thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, next up we have Bridgeport will be presenting next.
We're going to change of the guards a little bit because we have some smaller participants this evening that will be joining us. Yes.
Next time I'll be prepared with a few dad jokes, mom jokes.
What is the cast? Oh, airtime. All right, I think we are ready. Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. I am Stephanie Oakes, the principal at Bridgeport Elementary, and here with me, parts of our team are Becky Davis, the assistant principal, Katie Jordan, our literacy coach, Amanda Green, one of our intervention specialists, and Angela Henson, one of our physical therapists. We also have Miss Calhoun, our music teacher, and some very important members of our Bridgeport choir. So this year, Bridgeport's theme is Stronger Together. So you can see in our paw print here, we are representing all of our staff in this paw print because we are working through building goals together, we are working through daily challenges together, and we continue to bring this focus back together of we are stronger together. As a team, we come back to the idea of collective efficacy. So the idea that the staff has a collective belief that they are able to positively impact students in the work that they do, and doing that as a team is easier to do than doing that on your own. So I'm going to review our 3 building goals with you because we are going to be celebrating a success from each of those goals so far this year. So our first goal is ensuring all students make 1 year's growth in reading and math. Our second is implementing a structured and consistent multi-tiered system of support program. And our third is building a positive school culture for students, staff, and families. So as we touch on each of those this evening, you may think, these kind of sound familiar if you remember Bridgeport's goals in the past. So they are. We have had success with these goals, and as we continue to focus on them, we get deeper and deeper and more intentional and strategic in refining systems, refining instructional practices, and overall maximizing the achievement that we are able to make at Bridgeport. So I'm going to be highlighting our first goal of ensuring all students make 1 year's growth in reading and in math. So when we're looking at the student levels of students that are coming to us, we're seeing where are they at, and it is our expectation that when they leave us, they've grown at least 1 year. While knowing that we want for students to exceed that 1 year's of growth so that we can close those achievement gaps and catch those students up that may be behind. So the success from this first goal comes from our value-added data. So value-added data comes from Ohio State report cards. So this was released from last year's state testing. And it measures the impact that schools and teachers have on students' academic progress from year to year. So it's looking at each individual student and how they grow from 1 year to the next. What I want you to focus on from this snapshot is what's called the index on each of those years. So this is showing us 3 years worth of a growth index. And that number is telling us the certainty that a group of students either met expected growth, exceeded expected growth, or didn't meet expected growth. And when a growth index is between -2 and +2, this indicates that the expected growth has been met. So as you can see, in the last 3 years, we are exceeding a 2 each year. So as we've focused on making growth with our students, our state testing data is showing that not only are we meeting growth, but we are exceeding growth. And I'm excited to point out, as you see 3 years ago, 2 years ago, last year, that number continues to rise. So when we look at value-added data, we can break it down a little bit further by looking at the content areas and the grade levels that students are tested in. So when we're looking at those colors, the yellow is representing not making expected growth, the green is meeting expected growth, and the blue is exceeding that growth. So we are excited to really highlight the amount of growth that we have made in both reading and in science. Through the extensive work last year rolling out that new EL reading curriculum with our 3rd through 6th grade teachers and our literacy coach, you can see here that looking at the English language arts data, that rigorous instruction that EL is providing is greatly impacting our students. So much so that if you look at that little blue section, that represents the growth index of between 2 and 3. There's that special little parentheses at the end that means not only did we exceed, but we're beyond 3. We've got a little parentheses to show that growth is through the roof. And we contribute that to our 3rd through 6th grade teachers, that EL curriculum, and our literacy coach. As far as our science growth, something to highlight is that it's not common in all elementary buildings of the staffing structure. Obviously, we look at the number of students there are, and that determines how many sections there are. So we were challenged with, okay, you're gonna have 3 teachers in the 5th grade. So in our minds, we're like, well, how are we gonna make that work for our instructional minutes? How do we maximize that? So what we have decided both last year and this year is to dedicate a sole science and social studies teacher in 5th grade. So we have 1 math, 1 language arts, and then 1 science and social studies teacher. And that teacher works hand in hand with the reading teacher to support the reading and the writing standards through teaching science and social studies. So we attribute some of that positive growth in science, exceeding that growth, to that model that we were able to implement for 5th grade science. This data has also allowed us to identify that math needs to continue to be an area of focus. So this year we have been able to target some specific instructional strategies to ensure that we continue to make growth in math. Some things that we are intentionally working on this year are eliciting student responses within the classroom, focusing on explicit instruction within our lessons, and then targeted coaching support with our math coach.
Hello. Goal 2 focuses on implementation of a structured and consistent multi-tiered system of supports program, or MTSS. First of all, I have to give thank you to Brookwood for setting up just right on the tee for me to talk about our AIM block. So I really appreciate that building of all that context. So I just go right in and share all of our good pieces. So again, a big part of our system of academic supports is our AIM block time. AIM, or Academic Intervention Minutes block, is a dedicated 30-minute chunk of time each day where all students in the grade level receive instruction tailored to their needs. So for example, some students are receiving small group reading intervention during AIM block. Some receive Tier 1 core instruction reinforcement, deepening some of those concepts from the EL curriculum, like Mrs. Oakes was talking about. And others are engaging in those enrichment and extension activities. During this time, all teachers, including Title I reading teachers, our intervention teachers, when appropriate, those case managers, and our classroom teachers, teach groups based on student areas of growth and strength. So Stephanie and I, along with our academic coaches, our Title I reading teachers, our classroom teachers, and our intervention specialists, used MAP and our DIBELS data to find those areas of reinforcement and refinement that were needed by each student. Once the instructional area of focus was identified, then we went through with title teachers, with our coaches, with the classroom teachers to choose the best instructional focus and lessons and tools and projects to meet the needs of each group. So some of the enrichment activities have been really exciting. So students have had the chance to explore the solar system in first grade. They participated in a hurricane relief service project. They've gotten a chance to study the state of Ohio. In fourth grade, they leaned into the EL curriculum to do a study on the founding fathers. And our third grade students are currently creating biography bottles. So we, along with our instructional coaches, meet regularly with Title I and classroom teachers to review student progress and intervention outcomes. And then that data is used to plan next steps for the student interventions, that flexibility that you guys heard about earlier. So I would also like to bring your attention to that same, again, data that you guys saw before. So that's a snapshot of our DIBELS 8 data from this year. So DIBELS assesses the basic early literacy skills like phonemic awareness, decoding, word reading, and fluency. And some of those tests depend on what grade level the student is in. It gives them an overall composite score based on those smaller subtests. So what we're looking at in this data is a graphic that shows the number of students in each of those composite score areas. Like we said before, well below is that red, below yellow, at benchmark green, and then above benchmark blue. So the first line is our beginning of year window. The second is middle of year. So as you can see, K-1 teachers did a wonderful job of intervening and enriching. There was a reduction in the number of students who were scoring at that well below benchmark category, an increase of the number of students at the that at benchmark, that green category. And like we discussed earlier, early intervention with literacy is critical. This is the time to close the gaps. So we are working hard to use our data to do that. This next slide will show you grades 2 and 3. We also saw that same reduction in the number of students at the well below category in second grade, but if you notice in third grade, we did see an increase of students who dropped to that well below category. So what we will and have done next there is that you then look at the student level. So I'm going to identify all of those students who moved from either the at benchmark, above, or below into that well below, and I'm going to find out who are they. So the team, along with our coaches, will look at that data. So we'll ask questions, we'll dig into that composite score. We'll say, what subtests choose to be the most difficult for that student? What was the focus of their intervention during AIM block? Did they progress in that subtest? Are we seeing gains there, but just it's not transferring yet to the other measures in the assessment? So did they improve? What was their intervention outcome? Did they improve where their intervention was occurring? Is a tier 2 screener needed in order to dive deeper into their early literacy skills? So those are the questions that we ask, and our literacy coach helps facilitate some of that to say, maybe the student does need an additional deep dive with the tier 2 screener to really find those small skills so we can get there early and get that movement going the other way. So students have really been enjoying AIM Block this year, and we're excited to continue to see the growth they're making through this targeted instruction and enrichment. Okay, so next I'm going to start and kick it off to something I think you guys are really going to enjoy. It's looking at building a positive school culture for students, staff, and families. In this section, we chose 2 areas to highlight for you that I think you'll enjoy. You'll be hearing from staff members as they share about our accessible playground equipment project and from our very own Bridgeport Student Choir.
Hi. So our teachers saw a need, especially on our small playground where our kindergartners, preschoolers, and our MD students play, for shade. It's wide open, and especially our students in the wheelchair that can't escape to a shadier spot or move around. And so we formed a committee to come together to address this need, to see what structure would best fit the need for our students, and how would we pull the money together to provide the structure. So the committee decided to get a structure with a roof and some adaptable manipulative panels that they could seek shelter and also play with the panels. We noticed that it was going to cost $20,000 for the structure, and how are we going to raise that money? So we went to PTO and asked PTO if they could help provide support. This was the first year that Popcorn Day was coming back post-COVID, which we all are excited about that. And PTO decided that all the funds that were going to be raised in Popcorn Day would go directly to the playground equipment. But we knew that wouldn't be enough. So we reached out to the community and got some donations from the community members, as well as some parents. You can see our popcorn flyer here that advertises that all proceeds will go to the adaptive playground equipment, and some donations here. Some that I would like to highlight is we have a group of Miami University students that volunteer their time on Fridays to come in and work with the MD students, and they really love them, especially the girls in the MD room. And they decided they won a contest and decided to donate their money, their winnings, to our playground equipment. Yes, very nice. And this has happened not once, but twice. Also, we had fundraising for our library, and our librarian donated some of the money from that towards our playground equipment fundraising, as well as our fourth graders. So for our EL curriculum, as mentioned before, the fourth grade curriculum asked that they do a service project, and the fourth graders knew that we were trying to raise money for the MD playground. So the money that they raised in their service project was also donated to the playground equipment. And you can see that we kind of had a thermometer there of how we were getting close to our target. It was getting to May, and we were about $8,000 short. We reached out one last time, and in June we received a donation that pushed us to our limit. So I believe it was in October, November of this year, the playground equipment has been installed. So if you come by Bridgeport, you can see it from the street. It's this little blue roof with some interactive panels, and our students love it.
First of all, I would like to say that the Miami students that come are from the fraternity Pi Kappa Phi. Their philanthropy is working with people with disabilities. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned their name because they've been phenomenal. Okay, so Bridgeport has 3 unit classrooms filled with students who want to play, have fun, and be like the other kids. However, this isn't possible for many of these students. These classes have kids in wheelchairs, unstable gaits, vision issues, and some of them are unable to regulate their body temperature. When they go to the playground, there are still obstacles keeping them from enjoying the playground. But with the addition of the interactive playhouse, students have more activities available to them no matter if they walk up or roll up. They are able, depending on the position of the sun, to get out of direct sunlight. This has been a great addition to our playground because it is still difficult to impossible for some students to access the limited adaptive equipment in our playground. The interactive playhouse allows kids to sit together and play music, play hide and seek, and draw in the shade. While I am far from done with working to create a more inclusive and safer playground for our students with mobility issues, I am very happy with the opportunities the students now have with this playhouse. Thank you.
So through our third goal, we have been working on the inclusivity. We've been working on how do we get our students involved in Bridgeport and proud at Bridgeport. So we do have here with us Miss Calhoun and her Bridgeport Choir, which is new to Bridgeport this year. And they are going to perform a piece for you.
I am new to Bridgeport this year and started a choir because that's my primary instrument. That's my most favorite way to make music. We do a lot of different things in general music throughout the class day, but I wanted a space for students to push themselves further. And what I found was simply hinting that we might start a choir, the student body was ready. They were so eager and have met every challenge I've given them with enthusiasm. So I think it would be hard to say that the choir has changed the culture at Bridgeport as much as it has offered an opportunity to show the culture of Bridgeport and make it very accessible to the community around it, because these students are creative and collaborative and brilliant, and they get to show that off every time. So to demonstrate that, here is just, actually I should ask for everyone to stand for the Star Spangled Banner, please. Hopefully we will even hear the drum along with us.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight was the one that we watched, where so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the contrasting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free in the home of the brave?
This is about half of our choir. These are 3rd and 4th graders doing a beautiful job every week.
I just have one comment before. I grew up in choir all through my grade school and high school years, and even in church sang in choir. But that is one of the most difficult songs to sing because the range, and you guys did a great job. Great job.
You know, I have a question about the choir if you're getting ready to leave. The young lady in the back row on the far end, what's her name?
Is there someone with a noticeable name over here? Do you want to share? This is Macy.
Macy Dole. Well, I couldn't help but notice she had a beautiful voice, but now it makes sense because I've heard her father, Mike Dole, sing a number. He has a beautiful voice also. But what a great idea, and please continue that. That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Well, I agree. Awesome job. Maybe we could talk to Missy Harvey and see if they could do a basketball game this year.
They have one basketball.
Okay.
Yes, it should be a regular thing.
It should be, absolutely.
Thank you guys so much for coming. You guys sound amazing. Amazing. So thank you for being here. That was cool.
And keep singing. It brings a lot of joy to your life.
Yes.
You know, and I have one other comment. Being a retired soldier, I have a deep appreciation for that song, particularly when it is sung or performed in a manner that it was written without a lot of alterations and, other things. But they did a wonderful job. Thank you very much.
Ms. Calhoun, before you leave, to our Board of Education, first of all, kids, bravo. You sang that song beautifully, and it's sometimes nerve-wracking to stand up in front of a group of adults. I love to see all your guardians that are back here. They were singing it along with you. I saw lots of a lip service back there. But to our board, I do want to highlight something that just fills me with pride. We used to have one honor choir that would serve throughout our community. And last year, Mrs. Spurlock sat down with Mr. Wright and myself and said, we'd like to expand this opportunity to allow all schools to have an after-school choir. And so it's just so neat to see that coming true. But what's amazing is Bridgeport has taken this on this way. At Linden, they have a drumming group that comes together. And I just think what an amazing example of providing opportunities for our kids. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we want to thank you for the opportunity to share the exciting progress and achievements that are happening at Bridgeport. Our staff, students, and families are working together every day to create a safe, supportive, and engaging learning environment where every child can thrive. We're grateful for your ongoing support, which is essential to make our vision a reality. And with you, we are stronger together.
Thank you so much for being here and presenting. I think one of the things that I love about your presentation is that you shared your goals and you said, these are some of the same consistent goals that we've been doing. What I love about that is that you've kept those goals before you until they're met. And so I think that's pretty cool. And you're making sure that those goals stay a priority. Because a lot of times people have goals, they're like, well, we didn't make so we'll just set new goals, but you stay true and stay consistent to see results, and that's amazing. And also the park for the kids, and making sure that everybody has access and able to play and to be able to share with their friends. So I think that is amazing, and that you guys, was able to raise the money. And shout out to all those in the community and local that supported that. Make sure that was that need was met. Because I was going to say 20,000 popcorn. Woo! That's although the popcorn is rare. Because I remember you guys put the Tootsie Rolls at the bottom of them.
Oh
no. Yeah.
Might have to be an addition.
Yeah, trying to tell you, you guys build a whole new district with that. But no, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not sure if you were in the room when the last group, when Brookwood was in here, but reading and reading comprehension and writing are so important. And we need to get to the students in the early grades or we lose them. And what you're doing over there, you're tackling that issue. You're making sure that these students have the ability to read, comprehend, and learn how to write so they succeed as they move on up. I was really impressed with the playground, how you integrated the children or the students in raising funds for it, parents through the PTO. I'm sure the staff contributed to it, and then you went out and got the community involved. And it's a whole process that I think is such a neat thing, and I'm glad you did that. Thank you.
Principal Oakes, thank you very much. Just a couple comments. I'm looking at your slide number 6, your value-added slide, or value-added data slide. I'm kind of a science guy, so it makes me feel good that your growth index in science was excellent. But what was impressive about that when you were presenting that was, like Brookwood, you recognize that math is an area that you're progressing, but not as much as the other two areas. And you're making adjustments to even enhance that progressiveness. So I think that's absolutely wonderful. And also, like my fellow board members talked about the accessible playground equipment project. What a great thing that is, and I respect that so much. And by the way, I want you to know that I'm a big fan of both candy bar and popcorn. So the next time you have those fundraisers, let me know.
First Friday of every month.
Okay. Well, okay, I'm going to write that down. And Mrs. Blevins, I would submit to you that type of project is just an example of the so many great things that occur in our district that I wish the entire district and the entire community was aware of. So our new incoming Director of Community Engagement, of all of the other things we're going to expect of that position, that's something that I will expect of that position. And I think you would agree with that.
Yeah, that's right in vein. I'm in a lucky spot and I get to see all of these things. I work directly with each of these buildings, but you are right. There are so many amazing stories. They saw a need, they found the funds, and they got it done for our kids.
Yes.
But I agree with you. You're going to see much more of that coming, moving forward. Even our kids today, I watched the room. The entire room lights up when we get to engage, and our kids really are our future, but they're also our bright spot. They're why we do the work we do. And so how can we continue to highlight through some different staff and community and student spotlights? That's a big piece as we move forward as a board. Yes. I would like to recommend for these meetings to be able to tell that story, both here and out in other ways.
Yes, I agree.
Mrs. Oakes, I just want to commend you and your team. What I loved about it, your mission or your motto this year is simple, stronger together, but it's so true. It really is. You talked about supporting achievement and growth of all kids. You saw a need for a group of students that might be marginalized or left out of some of the experience that is being in elementary school. And then highlighting student voices, literally here tonight, but in other ways. You're creating that sense of community. And I say all the time, when our kids and our staff and our community feel connected, sky is the limit. So hats off to you all for being here tonight and for the work you do every day. And I'm just going to say, go Bobcats.
Thank you.
One other thing, thank you for hosting Dr. Kopus and I last Friday on our visit.
Absolutely.
We really enjoyed walking through your building and meeting teachers and students. Thank you.
Great to have you.
And you know, Principal Oaks, I love all the schools and support all the schools, but you know why Bridgeport's one of my favorite, right?
Yeah.
Even though my grandson got in trouble on his first day of kindergarten.
Oh, I don't think we'll ever forget that story.
All right, but thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, we have our first read of our PD reimbursement.
Yes, President Matthews, if you remember at the last board meeting, we started talking about what a PD policy could look like. It needed some updates from our last rendition. And so I took all of our comments that we had and tried to bake those into this policy. I've not put this up for a vote right now because, again, we're still in discussion mode with this. When we as a board feel that, this captures our board's focus, we'll move forward.
Is there any purpose for, in the first section of it, section B? Is that really necessary?
That was in our old policy, that if a board member, so if you remember that first one, and A and B is talking about each year, and this, I believe Dr. Kopus proposed this, is that we put out a list of events that the district would like to see board members at, and we would prepay for that.
That's correct.
I'm talking about a board member can also attend such events as a private citizen. Incur expenses.
Oh, you mean to just delete that whole comment? Yeah,
I mean, why is that even necessary, really? We can do whatever we want as a private citizen.
absolutely.
We don't need board approval.
Yeah, I have no problem striking that out. I was trying to kind of meld the old policy with the new one and of those pieces, but I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I would agree with Mr. Davidson on that, but I just have to say that I think that it would be easier, and I said this last time, and if nobody else agrees with me, that's fine. I'm not gonna die on that hill, but I really just think that it would be easier if we set the policy at 250. We go in as individuals and, make our own reservations. That way, then if we don't go, Jeremy's not having to chase the dollars down. That's the only suggestion I got. I just think it would be easier.
And we did try to meld that, so there's two parts of this particular piece. The first part of this policy, and it came up in good conversation, and there are, you think of state of the schools are next week. It's nice to have our board sit together. And so if people are registering separate, I heard that kind of notion, it's difficult to make sure we're all together, or sometimes it's just easier for Mrs. Fuller to book that for all of us. And that's what the first part of that is. The second part of this, that the policy that's drafted here, is if there are additional items. I know, Mrs. Baker, you mentioned there was a training that you wanted to do that was $50.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to be on that list of ones that the district is responsible for pre-registering people for. And so down there under A and B, I tried to capture that up to $250, and as long as it doesn't require overnight travel, individual board members can go ahead and proceed with that and then submit for reimbursement. If it is over the $250 mark or requires overnight stay, then that still requires that board pre-approval prior to the board member conducting that.
That's fine, yeah.
I
just wanted to make that.
Yeah. I also linked on the actual, on our agenda tonight, the AGs. And our AGs, our policies are our umbrella of what our expectations are. Our AGs are the actual process for that. And so I worked with Mr. Frazier to just determine what that reimbursement would look like, so that it's a really simplified process for you. Jeremy, I don't know if you want to speak at all to that.
Yeah, basically, if you attend something under the 250, or even if it's over the 250 and you have prior approval from the board, all you would need to do is just submit the receipts to me directly, and we can turn that around really quick. So I think that's probably the easiest thing to do. We don't necessarily have a formal form. We do have a mileage form if you want to turn in mileage. But I think the easiest thing to do is just submit to me the receipts, and then we'll get you paid.
So does this draft policy kind of strike at the vein of what the board was looking at? And would the board be comfortable with us at the next meeting on February 27th, putting this up for vote?
I think so. And Mrs. Blevins, you're correct. I did say that you, as the incoming superintendent, should be able to select 3 or 4 or 5 events that you would expect the board members to attend. And I think it's appropriate then for Melissa to handle those reservations for us.
And one of the things we put into the administrative guideline is by August 1st each year, we would give those to you so that you have those. And obviously, if you can't attend, it's not a mandatory piece.
Right, understood.
But those are ones that would make sense, and we'll work collaboratively to make sure, what events those are. But we thought this captures, I think, the heart of the conversation.
I agree.
Okay? So I will have that on our next board agenda for review and approval.
Just check with Lauren, though, because he may have some comments on it.
I will. I met with him for my board one-on-one last week, and we talked through this a little bit. But I will circle back just to make sure he's comfortable with it going to a vote.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is our spring policy update.
Yes, I wanted to update the board. As you know, twice a year we work, actually, policies at any time can be updated, but we work with Neola 2 times a year. We sit down to make sure we're compliant, that all of our policies are compliant with state and federal changes that happen. We have a number of legislative actions that are going to come in effect here pretty early in the spring. Things ranging from the bathroom bill that's going to be going into effect, the Parents' Bill of Rights. We are scheduled to meet with Neola next Tuesday. Jeremy and myself will meet with our representatives to get that draft language. But I'm bringing this up to the board just because it's going to be, we're going to have to vary a little bit from our normal process. What we typically have done, we put it on for 2 reads and go through that piece. State law only requires that we have 1 read of those, and because of the dates of implementation of some of these bills, we're going to have to take action or else we won't be compliant. And so my goal right now, we will meet on Tuesday afternoon, is to send the board a copy of all of those new updates with the descriptions as we've done before, but I will need to put them on for a vote on 2/27, especially for the 2 that I just named that will go into effect.
As long as we have 3 or 4 days in advance that we can look through them.
Just because it varied from our typical process, I wanted to be transparent and make sure the board was comfortable with that.
Yes.
Okay. That's all that I have this evening, Mrs. Matthews.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those updates. I appreciate it. Bring clarity. I'll consider a motion to adjourn into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Fraser, if you can call the roll, please.
Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Dr. Kopus?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.